Hi everybody, and welcome back to this series where I'm trying to create a task management app for people who want to improve their health called I Feel Good. And where we left off last time, so it's just if you hear something in the background, it's really hot today in France and the air conditioning is on, so there's a buzzing in the background. What I'm trying to achieve today is to pick up where we left off last time and go a little bit more advanced into some Noodle concepts like run tasks, nodes. What we need to do is the user, when they sign up, is going to answer certain questions about their preferences, their objectives, what they want to achieve in using this app, and if they have any pre-existing conditions. And then that's going to match them up with some tasks that we're going to create, the master tasks in our database that are going to be assigned to them for their daily tasks. And then we can record if they completed the task and when they completed it and things like that. So we have a few different things to do. I need to set up some default tasks in the database, some master tasks. I need to add their objectives, and I need to change this because we're not doing programs anymore. We're going to do pre-existing conditions. Just delete that column. So we're going to do a column called conditions. Yeah, that'll be fine. What I mean by that is pre-existing conditions. So like if they have like Crohn's disease, or maybe they're addicted to sugar or diabetic, something like that would be the assumption of what they're going to put here. Is it a required field? No, that's fine. Okay, so we've got objectives and conditions. Okay, so the task would have objectives and conditions if it's a master task, which I haven't added either. So that's a Boolean field master task. False by default. So if it's a master task, it'll have objectives and conditions that are appropriate for it. For example, we put diabetes, and it's just going to be an array of strings. So I'm making this because ChatGPT gave me a really good idea on how to make this work in terms of rankings. Because what I want to do is I want to search through these tasks that are master tasks and to rank them by how many conditions and objectives do they match this person's profile. So if they match 2 objectives and 3 conditions, that's higher than any other ones, then that's going to be the first task that they're going to be asked to do, etc. So it's not going to ask them to do a task where it doesn't match any objectives or conditions that they've checked, for example. So let's say diabetes and intestinal problems. So it's a bit medical, but anyway. And say this one is for let's say this one is for anxiety and stress. So this objective is going to be for weight loss, just one objective for this one, and this one is going to be for sleep and meditation, for example. Okie dokie. So now we have a couple of master tasks. Don't forget to click out of the field when you do this, because sometimes I forget and I go somewhere else. If you don't click out, it doesn't take the true argument. Okay, so we've got 2 master tasks to play with. We should see them getting ranked in the correct order based on the system we're going to try to set up here. So what we need as well is we also need to have the user having their own arrays so we can compare the 2. So it should be an array of objectives, which is going to be empty by default, and an array of conditions, which is going to be empty by default. Okay, now we need the user to actually fill in these objectives. So before I can even try to do the ranking, I need the user first to have those objectives. But I mean, I can fill them in manually, but I'd rather create something quick and easy that the user will fill in when they log into the app. So they're going to hit the main page, and we have a container, but this is going to be the main task container. Okay, I don't know why I have that. Okay, that'll do. Unauthenticated user redirect. I had some cool stuff in here. Maybe this is from the template as well. Anyway, so we have a main task container, and we have we're going to add another group called onboarding container. So this container is going to be visible until the user picks their pre-existing conditions and saves them to the database. So we're going to have pre-existing conditions, one repeater, put that in a group, and we'll give it a header, or maybe page. Maybe we'll do pages. No, we'll just do a list. Just keep it simple. Keep it simple. So we'll do one group with a repeater, and then we'll just copy paste that and do another group with a repeater. And so this is going to be objectives. Let's not scare them by putting their pre-existing conditions first. Pre-existing conditions, 2 repeaters. Okay, so when you come in, I'm going to check to see if the we're going to do states. I'm going to check to see if you've already filled out the form yet or not. So we're going to have a state called onboarding and a state called complete. Okay, no transitions, and we're just going to use that to show or hide. So we're going to say at onboarding, we're going to show the onboarding container, and at complete, we're going to show the task container. So only one of them will be visible. I know it's all a bit abstract because there's nothing in there right now, but we'll get there. So we need to also add a checkbox component. So let's add a visual component first. List checkbox. And this is going to be with an object because we're using that from the array. We're going to get the name, I suppose. What would it come through as? We're going to have to map it to something, so let's call it label. And we're going to get that from the repeater, and the label is going to go to a checkbox. We'll just use the Noodl checkbox for now. Hopefully it works. I think it works pretty well from memory. Label is going to be the what is it? Label. So label's enabled. Okay, and if it's checked or not, I guess as well, we need to say if it's checked or not. So if it's checked or not, it's going to be checked. So we'll get all this in a minute from the repeater. Okie dokie. So those 2 repeaters are going to have that, what did I call it? This checkbox as their template. And then the items they're going to have are going to be probably coming from, so what we need is we need to have items going into the repeater that can be changed, and that we can, when we check them, it's going to add them to our users' objectives, and when we uncheck them, it's going to remove them from our users' objectives. So we're probably going to need, I'm going to need a AI function for that, so we'll think about that in a second. Let's first just put in a number of objectives. We're going to put an array, I think. No, sorry. Yeah, we could just do a static array actually. Just a static array, make sure that it's loaded up when we load the app, and that I can just control it really easily. So the static array is going to give us the repeater. I think this is good, what I'm doing. We'll see. I just want it to give the repeater the items that I need with the labels. So we're going to do an array, and we're going to make an object, and it's going to be a label. And we're not going to put a checked yet. Actually, yeah, no, we're not going to put checked. We're going to evaluate checked inside the repeater template component with a check of the user's objectives and conditions array. So we're going to do label. Oh, I know, and I have another idea as well. So we're going to do label diabetes, and we're going to do another object, and the label is going to be heart condition, and another one that's going to be What was the other one I said? Intestinal problems. Okay, so that's one array. And sorry, my great idea, I should have copied and pasted that as well, is to put type, because we're using the same template for both repeaters. So how do I know inside this repeater if it's supposed to go to the pre-existing conditions array in the user's class, or is it supposed to go to the objectives array? So to find out, I'm going to pass in directly, manually, the type. So I'm going to call this conditions, or condition. It is a condition. It doesn't really matter. I just want to make it readable so I remember and don't accidentally type conditions when I actually wanted to say condition. So every single object that goes in will also pass in this type, and then the repeater template can say, I see, I know I'm in two places at once, but I can tell that this is a type condition. So afterwards then I'm going to read that type, and I'm going to use that to change the user's data. So I'll have to think about how to do that in a minute. So I've got the label and I've got the checkbox. Now I need to know if it's checked or not. So we need to take out the array of data, which will depend on if, so outputs.array equals the Noodl users current dot we'll start with conditions, and that's going to be an if statement to say if type inputs type equals condition. Oops. Then I'm not very good at all this coding stuff, but I make do. Oops. Else. So if it's not conditions, it must be objectives. So then it's going to be outputs.array equals Noodl users current. So that just accesses the current user's data, which is always available. We don't have to fetch it. Okay, so the array that's going to come out of this function is going to be either the conditions, if the type is conditions, which we have to hook up. And I know I'm piping it into an array, and that might not seem clever, but I feel like that's a better idea for filtering, possibly, or checking if they're, I don't know, it's maybe not a good idea to check if they're, yeah, I want to filter to find the one where the label is this one and find out if it's checked. I like using arrays in Noodle because in theory they're more live than the stuff that's in the functions. The stuff that's in the functions, you have to manage where the data gets updated and how we know it's been updated. Whereas the array, often you can kind of see when changes happen and detect it and fire off things when changes have happened. So let's just stick with this for now, and if we need to change it, we will change it. I'm just trying to play with the idea. So this is output either objectives or conditions. And this is going to be the objectives or conditions array. And that is going to be the one that we filter to find. Yeah, we could all do all this in code, but I hope this is actually going to be better like this. Oh no, it's filter backwards. Oops. I hope it's going to be more live like this. Filter array. So we're going to filter for when the label equals the input label, which is here. So find me the value that's equal to that. Let's put in a couple of test data just to be able to read that. Let's say that this user, his objectives or her objectives are, what did we say it was? Sports challenge. And I know this weight loss was an easier one. I know that that's definitely weight loss. Let's do one item and one condition, which is going to be diabetes. Okay, so refresh that. So now we've got some, hopefully some items. We've got no arrays coming out. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, objectives and conditions. So why is it not coming out? Noodle users current user object dot conditions. Let's just do a little test. Make sure Noodle users current is definitely outputting something. Oh my. So Noodle users current actually has email user ID and email verified, but then it also has a properties field, which is where we actually want to get into for the objectives. Ooh, didn't see that coming. So let's do current dot properties. I never saw that before. It's interesting. Properties. I guess I haven't used this Noodle users current very much. So there's the diabetes coming out. It's filtering. It's found one diabetes, and it's got one item. Oh crap! It's pumped out a whole bunch of things there. Oh, okay, because it's pumping out. Yeah, the Noodle array filter is not very good at putting out. Sorry, the Noodle array is not very good at handling strings. So it's just taking that as a string and thinking that's like, I don't know. Okay. How do I make that better? So that's just it wants an object in the array. It doesn't want a string. It wants an object. Okay. So what do we do to get that to become an object? With like label equals, that kind of thing. Do a map, I guess. So we'll do no, I better ask ChatGPT about this. I'm not just gonna waste time on this. Okay, let's go and ask the old ChatGPT. I have an output in a Noodle function that outputs an array of strings. I'd like to remap the strings to objects of type label value before the outputs dot array. Maybe that'll work. Use a map function. So outputs dot array was Noodles user conditions map item to, oh there you go, return label item. That's pretty cool. It's pretty easy. There we go. Label diabetes. Then we put that into the array. Gives it an ID automatically, and then filters out to find out, do we have any that are like intestinal problems? So we only have that because we're seeing the final item in the list. So, but in theory that would output the object. Well, we should probably test that theory, shouldn't we? So I'm gonna change this and give this person some intestinal problems. That's a bit gross, sorry. So they have intestinal problems, and so with a capital I, gosh dang it. Don't forget about your capitalization. Okay, and then filter items where label equals, oh, it's still coming out as a small I, why is that? Did I not save it? I did. Is it task, I guess that's a problem then? Yeah, it is. It is also capitalized. This is also so that we can display them properly when it comes to showing the user the list. We don't have to like do a function to capitalize everything. It's already capitalized. We just need to decide these kind of things at the beginning. There we go. So it's filtered out this one from the list of objectives or conditions. In this case, it's objectives, it's conditions. Now that we finally filtered it out, we're going to check if it has been checked or not. Yes. So we know that the user has this in their system, which means that if this value is not 0, so if the count is not 0, then we're going to check the checkbox. So that gives it an initial checked status. Let's just move that out of the way. Yeah. So filter it out. If it is in the user's list, then we run it. Now what we're going to need is a way, you'll see later, we're going to need a way that we can update Noodle and say, okay, I've just ticked one, so the actual output of this has changed. It's not just intestinal problems anymore, but it's also diabetes. So we need to run this all again. So it doesn't run automatically when we're using something like noodles.users.current properties, etc. It has to be run manually. So we'll probably have to have a link between the checking the checkbox and running this again once we've completed the sort of change that we need to do. So let's take the what are we going to do? So we're going to, when the box is checked, we're going to take the array. We're not going to take the array. We're going to extract the user's conditions field. We're going to slice in or out depending on whether it's already checked or not. We're going to check if it's checked. We're going to, so if it is already checked, as in, is there already a count? So if there is one, it's true, then we need to run a function that, I know in fact we don't even need a condition, do we? We can just do all of it in a function. So checked is going to be inputs checked. Is it checked or not? We need a type as well to know if this should be added into the objective list or the condition list. We need to have the user objectives, which is noodle.users.current.properties.objectives and user conditions is going to be conditions. And then what we want in this is to take what already exists, change it, and then write it back to the database. So we've got what is currently the conditions, and we want to say if checked, then this is if we're removing something rather than adding something. So in the case that it's type condition, then we're going to and we need the current label as well. So label equals inputs.label. Or like item label. So if we have a, if we have a condition, then we're going to take the condition, the current conditions. If it's checked, then we're slicing it out. So this would be slice out the item label from the array user conditions. And if it is, or else, we're going to slice out the item label from the array user objectives. Then if it's not checked, if type is condition, we're going to push the item label to the array user objectives, user conditions. Else we're going to push the item label to the array user objectives. Okay, and now I'm going to cheat because I'm a big fat cheater. And I'm going to ask ChatGPT to please complete the following code. Yeah, see, that's why I don't like doing this, because I know that with arrays of text or strings, you need to, with arrays in general, you need to splice, you need to find out where it is, like the index of the item that you're trying to get to, and then splice it out to give you, because you can't just kind of go and find it and take it out. It has to be like, it's item number 3, okay, then slice out item number 3. The push one is way easier, right? So that's that done. And then that's it. So it does that, and then we're going to output success, so that we know that we can continue to the next step. So the changed is run, checked is this, type is this, and this is determine whether to add or remove. And then once it has been added or removed, we need to run this again. Oh, no, wait, hold on. There's another part we haven't done yet. So that's user conditions, if so next user condition, if okay, splice. Okay, so once we've spliced it, I guess then we have, it'll return, I guess. Yeah, it'll modify what the originally was the array, so then we can actually write that. If checked, type condition. Oh no, maybe we should have done it another way. Oh, it doesn't matter. So if type is condition, we need to do this, and then afterwards we need to write it to the database again. So what was that? There's a way to do that easily. This is from the Noodle docs. There's a way to change properties. Fetch, save. Wait, Noodle screen. Okay, so it's actually this one. Noodle and save. Okay, your current user object. Okay. So this is one thing we have to do after we change the object. So we're going to set a property. So like Noodle users current dot properties dot conditions equals user conditions. So we're setting the local object to the new list of user conditions that's just been spliced, and then trying to save it. I think this is right. And now we just have to do it a lot of different times, which is maybe a bit silly. Oh no, we don't. No, we don't, because we could do it down here and just save everything. So we say we're going to save the conditions. We're going to save the objectives. because if the objectives haven't been changed, we can just save them anyway. User objectives, so that should work. So it updates with the new array information and outputs success. So I wonder will this work. So this is intestinal problems. If I check it, uncheck it, it should remove intestinal problems from the users conditions. No, it didn't. That sucks. What happened? What went wrong? No, that's not that. Let's ask old ChatGPT. Await. Yeah, it's an asynchronous operation. Oops. You are right, ChatGPT. Why did I not think about that? So everything we did was okay. Oh, okay. Clone the array. Okay, I like that idea of cloning. So you take the original array, the 3 dots means you just take it as it is, and then attribute that to user objectives. That's clever. I like that, but I don't like the end. I just want to make the end bit a bit simpler. Hang on. Is the then part the same as using await? It's a really stupid question, I'm sure, but oh, it is. Okay, good. Asynchronous operations. Cool. Oh, well, then we'll just take that code. We don't need the await. We'll just use then. So that's good. And then the error is going to be failed to save user properties. Yeah, we can do that. We can also change this to be outputs error equals error. And then we'll be able to see it. And then outputs failure as well, if we ever need it. Nice. Okay. So let's refresh the page. It should be checked again. Yes, it is. And this time it's going to tell us if it failed or not. It didn't say that it failed. So let's check the database. No, didn't work. What if we just try the await thing instead? Can I comment all of this out? There was a way to comment it. There. And so we're just going to do await Noodl users current save. No, still nothing. Dang it. So that was not the answer. Okie dokie. Well, we'll come back to that. But that's the idea. The idea should be that this runs, it's successful, we then go back to the original function and rerun the original function that then will check to see has this thing been checked or unchecked. Which it looks like it's working, but it's not working. In theory, that would be the way to do it. It means that we always have the most up-to-date live data from the database as to whether we've checked or unchecked something. And we know that we're definitely slicing or adding things to the in the database, in the user table. So that's good. Okay, and that should work for both. So we should be able to also do a static array for conditions. Let's just make this group a bit shorter because it's a bit tall. Go. And we will tidy all this up, don't worry. It's not going to look ugly forever. And this one is going to be label. So the type is, we can find and replace, can't we? We're going to find and replace condition with objective. The objective is going to be sports challenge, weight loss, and better sleep. So I have to change what I said in the database. Sleep is not sleep, it should be better sleep. And there was also meditation in there, so why not? Okay, so there we have our objectives, and so that in theory should take it out in and out of the objectives field of the user. We should be able to see maybe when we refresh. We'd add something in there. We had better sleep and meditation, so we should be seeing better sleep and meditation being checked, but we're not. So meditation, objectives. Oh, it didn't bring out the array of objectives for the user. So type is objective, so it's going in here. It's saying okay, then output Noodle user's current properties objectives, and that is user objectives. Weight loss null null null. That's funny. What's it saying? Null null null. Put the objectives. Oh my goodness, that's why. Oh, because it's trying to slice things out and it's not working. So it is sort of doing something, it's just not really working right. So weight loss is 1, and that's okay. And there's still no items coming out, that sucks. Objectives, weight loss, conditions, intestinal organs. Yeah, so weight loss is there, but for some reason it's not coming out. Type is object. Oh, because it's not running on page load. Duh. So yeah, this is another really important Noodle thing. When you don't hook up a run signal, the function will run spontaneously every time that the element is mounted, but one time only. If you hook up a run signal, it'll run as many times as the run signal is fired. But when you do hook up a run signal, it stops it from ever running spontaneously again. It won't just run when the component is loaded. It has to be told to run. So we can tell it to run a little bit of a hacky way, but we can say when it mounts, run. It's just a hacky way of doing what it was already doing before, which was when the element is shown, the signal runs once. So you can see that it's ticked the right boxes. Let's just put a title in here because it's annoying me. So let's put label title small, objectives. This should probably be a component actually, because we've been using all the same elements so far, so I'm not doing this the right way, but I'm trying to do it quick and dirty. And we're going to have the objectives group be content height. Go. I'll have this container, I guess, have a bit of padding. Give it a gap. And give this a gap. And if this was a component, it would be much easier to give it a gap. But whatever. It's not yet. We can make it one later. Good. Okay, so that's good. We've got that list that we can work with to... Oh, that one should be higher. There. Got the two lists that we can work with, and now we just need to figure out why the user data is not saving. So I'm going to do some research into that and not waste your time looking at me trying to debug something that's probably really easy to debug. And when we come back, then I'll be able to pull this data from the user to say, okay, they've done their onboarding. You can click save, and then we'll go into the task list and be able to rank the task list, like I said, with a code that was very kindly provided by ChatGPT as well, which is pretty simple actually. So we'll see this next time, but The idea of this is just to get the objectives and conditions list, and then get the task list, get the objectives and conditions of each task, and then check how many of the task's objectives match the user objectives. What's the length of the array where they're the same, and how many of them match the conditions, and then add that. So if we had one, we just saw that I have 1 and 1 there. So if the task also has like this, if the task has intestinal problems and the task has weight loss, it'll get 1 and 1 score, and then we'll add that score together, it'll be 2. So that particular task will get a score of 2. It matches 2 things. If there's another one that matches heart conditions and sports challenge, then that'll have a score of 2 plus 2 is 4, and therefore it'll be ranked higher. So the top 10 tasks, or 5 tasks, I don't know, will come out in this sorting, and those are the ones that we'll use to create tasks for that user's day. So I think the next step will be pretty exciting. I hope you followed me up until this point and haven't dropped off because of all the issues, but I think working through those issues helps you to get an idea of the challenges, but also the freedom and flexibility that Noodle provides, and hopefully you'll be able to work through some of those challenges yourself a bit easier thanks to what we've done here today. So I hope you enjoyed it, and stick around for the next video.